Hello everyone, welcome back to Blitz Wizard 94. Today I will be recapping the recently concluded South Team Amateur Championships, which was held in the Villages, Orlando. Um, and first off, I want to say that this video is going to be really cool, as I'm going to be covering one of the most well-known events in the state of Florida. Whoever wins this event with the best team is able to qualify for a championship playoff. And I unfortunately haven't been able to see that championship playoff with my team yet, but hopefully in the future we're able to do it. This is my second year in a row competing, only this time with a different team. Last year I was competing with a team called Los Peligrosos, which essentially in Spanish, when translated to English, means the dangerous, or the feared, I think. And actually, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, the dangerous. I'm sorry, but like basically, we had our team. We decided last minute, or not really last minute, but like within a few weeks, um, really close to the event, we decided to form this little team. It was International Master Henry Soto as our board one. Then you see me right there on the left. I was board two, and you still see me rocking the weird caramel hair. That's how you can tell this is really, really old. This is last year. And then our board three was none other than Henry Miranda, who was, I believe, 1900 at the time, or maybe he was like barely 2000. And then our last board four was Adele, who was, I believe, 1800 or 1900. Either way, this is our team. We were able to meet the limit of under 2200 because every team must have like an average rating of below 2200, otherwise that team will be completely broken. And this year was a different team. This year, I kept saying that we're called the Freestyle Elites, but that's not the name of our team. The name of our team is the Elite Freestylers, and that included board one with Rajesh Chakravarti, who's right there, wearing the red coat. Then as board two, you have yours truly, the Blitz Wizard himself, wearing this really cheap, terrible coat that I bought last minute. I was with my dad actually. We were trying to go to a store. I told him, hey, we need to get like a good, decent coat that actually matches freestyle chess. And he's like, no, let's just go to this cheap store. I'm gonna get like this really nice cheap coat. And we bought this coat. I really hated the shoulder pads. I felt uncomfortable wearing this. But there you go. Yeah, board one we had Brijesh with the red, me with the black, and then at board three we had the amazing, I want to say, future of the next generation, National Master Alexander Jasinski, rocking the blue coat. And then our board four was, I want to say, he was basically the person who invited me. I want to say that he's kind of like the sponsor of our team, the main figure, and our captain, Quinton. Quinton Tanksley, who was a really strong figure within the Florida chess community. Without him, I probably would have not played this event. He invited me a couple weeks ago, a month in advance, and after some talking with him, I eagerly accepted his invitation, and I was welcome to join um, the Elite Freestylers. And I think honestly, this was a really great event. And I don't really want to waste too much time, but essentially, we all decided to wear different colors just to make the team sound really, really cool. And for those of you who don't know, every year annually when it's held in the villages, the South Amateur Team Championships has multiple awards for Scholastic, for wearing the best dresses, like the best fashion award, which could have been us, or basically the best top boards in each division. So, like for example, if you are the best player on board one, they give you an award for that. Board two, board three, board four, etc. Person, I believe, with the best team, they get plaques, etc. And yeah, there's just multiple different awards on different categories, whether it's Scholastic or not, and it's really really cool. There is no prize fund for this event, but it's just a really incredible event and a very important one, very special to many people. As along with those awards, they also I think give clocks. Well, no, they give clocks and they give I believe trophies. So it's really really cool, very commemorative of the chess spirit. Again, everyone here is just playing for fun and just showing that when it comes to their best, they can actually play and maybe even win some really cool award. That's why I kind of like this event. I'm very happy to be playing it again for my second time in a row. And I'm not gonna waste much time. I'm just gonna go quick to the game really quick. So, yep. All right. So In this one, actually, I'm going to show you really guys really quick this nice little picture here. We have ourselves, the Elite Freestylers in action. Unfortunately, you cannot see my opponent, Brajesh. Sorry, not my opponent, Brajesh's opponent. Simply because their face is a little bit cut off, I'm using this from my gallery of images, simply just showing this really nice picture. This is basically John Haskell's team, and John Haskell, again, is another important figure within the floor chess community. We're facing their team, I believe it was called um, the Pawn of Anarchies, or the Pawn of Anarchists, I don't remember exactly. But their team consisted, really interestingly, of 1500s and 1600s. I think the highest rated point was like an 1800 or 1700. Not really sure. Either way, as you guys can see, Brajesh has black, I have white. Quentin had white, and Alexander had black. And how it works is essentially each board they have different colors, and each round we swap. So right now, Brajesh has black. That means next round I get black. If Brajesh had white, then I would get black. That would get white next round, and I will have black this round. That's how it works up until the fifth round, and it's really really unique. I love this because it feels like an actual event, an actual team event, and it just feels very very sporting. But anyways, back to the game. My opponent was Robert Morelli. We start the game. I played d4, d5, c4, c6, and we eventually, just sorry. Let me remove the analysis really quick. I do not like the annotations. Oh, sorry. We eventually, maneuver into this really nice Slav. I go queen c2, bishop g2, castles. We trade some pieces. I did not know my opponent's rating. I knew that the team was kind of low rated, but I know exactly what it was. We do have like a score sheet where we can see our opponent's teammates, etc., see their ratings. I simply knew I had to play solid, so I played e4. We get d takes, knight takes, knight sits, and rook a d1. Now in this position, the problem is, like, for black, you need to develop this bishop in a way which is able to be in time. If not, black's piece kind of become cramped, like this knight. There's no pawn breaks for black. I can simply play really calm moves like rook e1, rook d2, rook d1, h3, king h2, b3, a4, b4. I have like a lot of pawn breaks, even d5 in the future. And so my opponent just starts to pretty much go on a very, I want to say, raw turn. We get knight takes, bishop takes, and now g sits. This is alright +1. And it's just because black has no mobility. He's just worsening his own position, weakening the dark squares around his king. Again, the bishop is not developed. He should have taken the time to, I don't know, play bishop d7, queen c7, just develop his pieces in general. We get rid of d2, queen f6. I go queen c3. Idea being I want to try like go rook d1, play d5 in the future, perhaps go queen a5 or support b4 and b5. We get rook b8, now queen a5 is played, he goes rook a8, wasting a tempo, and now rook d1. Simply collectively developing my own pieces. We get a6, f4, consisting his pawn push of e5. We get queen d8, and here I swap into an endgame, in which after I develop my pieces a little bit more, after bishop d7, I simply play c5. And this clamps down the b6 square. Why the b6 square? So essentially, if he tries to go for a move like b5, my idea was simply I would take, rook takes, b3, rook b8, rook c1, and this pawn c6 will forever be a weakness. I can go like rook c5. So if we get like another weak move, just rook c5, king 7, rook c2, and this pawn again is forever a really permanent weakness, and I have no doubt in my mind that I will be able to convert this. That was my thinking process during the game, so I played c5, we get h5, rook d3, and here my opponent really just goes off the rails. And after this nice maneuver, rook b3, again, rook b6, trying to clamp down this weakness, he goes off the rails and plays f5, which is a terrible, horrendous move, as now he faces his own pawns. His pawns are all on light squares, and I can basically just make it so he can never touch any of my pawns with the move h4. And that's exactly what he does. He plays rook h8, now h4. He doesn't have any breaks, and now my whole plan is just simply moving my rooks, lifting them, and attacking the weak pawn. We get rook c8, rook b6, rook c7. I simply, again, rook lift, and after king 7, he blunders rook takes a6. Point being, if he takes here, I take the rook, and I'm up a pawn, and I'm simply going to be winning with b4, a4, and simply advancing my passed pawns to victory. So after I take, he goes king d8, rook a7, king c8, I paralyze, and the rest of the game is simply not much effort needed. I simply develop my pawns, move my bishop, move my king to safety, and with the right timing play a6, takes, and here he just resigned. Had he gone king d7, I would have taken, he would have taken. We swap, we trade bishops, takes, and I would have taken on g6 and gone rook g5, and I would have taken this pawn again with 2 extra pawns or 3 extra pawns. This completely winning, and so he resigned the game. That was round 1. We were able to do a really clean 4-0 sweep against the Pawns of Anarchist or the Pawns of Anarchy. And that brings us over to round 2, in which I forgot the name of this team exactly, but we were facing, I believe, oh yeah, we were facing the Sky Kings. They were called the Sky Kings, and in this position, I believe I had black, and it was against I don't know how to pronounce his name, Prakef Galavati, and Galavati basically um, simply put me on the rails in this game. This game I was like completely suffering. I didn't really have any advantage throughout the whole game. If anything, I felt like I was struggling to survive, which was very, very unfortunate as, again, I'm 2263 at this point in the game. He's rated 1993. We went d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, c4, and I play bishop b4. I need to improve my opening, stop playing this Nimzo, or this Bogo, which is really, really horrendous. I really am playing offbeat openings in a very bad way, or just classical, but in a really bad way. He goes bishop d2, I go bishop b7, g3, d5, bishop g2, knight e4. After castles, c6, queen c2, I go off the rails with the move b5, which is just completely horrendous. I thought this was a really good move in my head because I thought after c takes b5, which he played in the game, this structure would work, and I would go like a5, etc., bishop b7, knight d7, and castle. I'm confusing the idea. I'm confusing the plans. Now, in some positions, you could get away with eventually playing a move like c6 and b5 or a6 and b5, but not in this one, because in this one, it's really just I'm giving my opponent a free file for nothing, and I'm completely crapping my position. After knight e5, he's trying to take my knight on e4. I swap for the bishop, knight takes d2, bishop b7, rook fc1, and bishop d6. I now want him to enter for c7, so I stopped it with the move bishop d6. We get e4, and here I mean again another horrendous move, bishop takes knight. We get d takes e5, and I castle. And again, queen c7. And at this point in the game, I'm completely dead lost. As you guys can tell from the evaluation, it's almost +2. I believe a higher depth is definitely +2. I do not think that I would have been able to survive this, and there are many spectators, many people were watching this. One of them were like just like, oh man, this guy is completely lost. I played the move bishop c6, and here his options are very, very simple. Had he done the move queen takes d8, I would have done rook takes, and after pawn takes, bishop takes, and d takes e5. I was expecting like knight b3, knight e6, and I thought, okay, at the very least, I can try to hold this. I think I'm completely lost here, but this would have been the best bet. However, he did not do this. He went for the best move, of course, which is rook takes e6, because now he gets 2 pieces for a rook for the exchange, and I'm completely suffering. I know I'm dead lost. It's like +2. I play queen a5. I go for counterplay, try and take on a2, and perhaps try to create some complications with my 2 connected passed pawns. We get queen c3, queen takes a2, chop chop, queen b3, and with a bit of pitiful agony, I resign myself to the fact that I really don't have much options. I decided to trade queens and go a5, go broke. Either play hero or play zero, as Hikaru Nakamura says. Simply go a4, b4, a3, create my passed pawn, and just simply try to force something. After bishop takes, rook a7. Here my opponent starts to go, I don't want to say, I think I felt like a shit. Here my opponent plays the one move which I don't think anyone should play, which is the move e6. And this basically dropped his advantage somewhat, as I'm able to actually trade one of his very strong pawns. If I were my opponent in this position, I would not play the move e6. I would play the move simply like, I want to say rook a1, go a4, F4, consolidate my position. Not much is happening, and I feel really great. Or not really F4, but like knight D4. I can't go rook D8 because knight C6. Uh-oh, spaghettios. And I think that, my position is just really, really calm. So like knight D4 on, let's just say H6, now F4, and again, I love my position. My position looks really, really nice. And it's just defended by tactics, because again, if rook D7, there's always forks everywhere. Just checking. This just looks incredible for white. I really don't see any reason why my opponent cannot win. Um, but when he played the move E6, I'm like, okay, I'm completely losing, but now I feel like maybe I have some drawing chances, or chances to try a swindle and maybe draw. I take the pawn, we get bishop takes, and king h8. And after king h8, really the best thing that I could give at this position is that essentially, um, you know, I'm completely at loss, not much I can do, and not much hope for me either. I simply gotta hope for the best. So rook a1, we get a4, knight d4, rook a6, attacking the bishop. We get bishop g4, which is apparently a mistake. I could have played the move rook d6. I didn't really get the point of it according to the engine. But essentially rook d6, knight takes b5, and I have like this move like rook d2. But I thought that after f4, and let's say I don't know, like takes and takes, they're just completely winning for white. But apparently the engine says it's a draw, which is surprising. Despite wait, no, sorry. The knight's hanging. That's why. Yeah, sorry. Like knight c3. I thought this was just completely winning for white. I didn't really see how this was a draw. Um, Rook d2 is really weird. But like in the game, I went rook b8, defending my b5 pawn. After the move knight c2, b4, bishop d7, I go for the move a3. Again, going for broke, expecting that after a takes, I would go b3, and after rook b1, I go g6, making room for my king to go king g7. He plays the horrendous move a4, and after a4, I am so lucky. I am really, really lucky. If it wasn't for this move, I would be completely losing this game. I have no doubt in my mind that I will resign this move, not this move, this game a couple moves later, had he not played the move a4. And I was hoping for the move a4. After g6, I was hoping that he would blunder a4, or at least any random move that simply allows me to get back into the game. After a4, the reason this is a mistake and a huge blunder from his part is I had the nice move, nice resource of rook d6. He played bishop g4, and he simply missed the tactic that after c takes, rook takes with check. It looks like I hand that rook for nothing, but after king g7, the rook is not able to come back and stop this fast pawn. The only way to do so is with the move rook c7, rook c8, but now I have this really nice intermediate move, rook d1 check. You cannot take my rook, because that just promotes to a queen, and they're simply winning for black. So in that case, we get king g2, I promote, chop chop, bishop e2, rook a1, bishop b5, rook a3, and the rest of the game is simply me holding on. But then he starts to like be a little bit comfortable playing the moves like g4. I went king e5, and now this move h5 is really terrible, as I'm able to at least push for a little bit more. We get the move g5, h6, king f6, bishop to e8, king e7, and this really nice move bishop g6. I took on a4, took with check. I tried winning this a little bit more. This position is technically should be a draw, and after a while, I simply concede to a draw, getting the opposition, but to no avail. My opponent played really well, and it ended in a very peaceful stalemate. That was round two. Um, Horrendous game. I have nothing but a really bad taste in my mouth when looking at that game. I feel nothing but sadness when I look in that game. But that essentially leads us into round three, where we were facing a team that was basically really, really strong. We were facing National Master Vincent Stone's team. Oh yeah, this was after, I believe, after I finished my game. I actually won a really nice game in Jabal London, and I proceeded to actually take my phone out. I was at the TD's table. I took my phone out to take pictures of this really nice Ferris wheel, because it looked really nice in the gallery. This was inside the tournament room. Um, it was edited, by the way. Sorry about that. And then right here, you can see I took pictures of the plaques. These were the awards. for the best teams, etc. More trophies here. Really, really unique. All the different types of awards. They have clocks, they have bottles, they have lots of stuff, again, for the different categories. But anyways, I was taking pictures of the teams that were playing. This was Nightmare Fuel up against Anarchid's team. I believe that was called um, Three Baby and a Man. I think that's what it was called. And then here we have one of the most strongest games in the event. We had PA Master Jorge Oquendo against International Master Bak Angio. But here, this is the game that we really need to pay attention on. This was, again, Brajesh on board one representing us against Vincent Stone, National Master Vincent Stone. And what eventually happened was some drama had occurred that completely ruined the match for us. Again, against the Master Gators, which was the name of their team, not joking. Um, it was it was crazy. We had, Rui Jin representing the Master Gators was playing against Adam Jasinski, who was our board three, for the Elite Freestylers. And essentially in this position, Rui played the move D7. Jasinski thought, okay, what's the big deal? I take it. After the move Rook H2, the only way that Jasinski would have been able to at least try to play on is with a move like King E3. Because it defends the bishop after King E2, etc., whatever you may say. Now we get into a position which will be a very, very long periodical endgame, and with best defense, white will hold it, but if he plays inaccurately, black can press and probably even swindle it for a win. Because again, bishop and rook against rook, it is easy if you know how to defend it, but if you don't know how to defend it, you're basically in a room for hurt. But Alex played the move bishop to e3, overlooking this really nice move, rook d2, check. Game over. You're saying, what's the big deal? I can just take. Uh-oh, it is a stalemate. And you cannot move the king, because once we move the king, I simply take on d7. And now it's white who could probably play this on for 100 moves. Even though this, again, is another theoretical draw, which with best defense should be a draw. Huge upset. This is a really, really huge upset. I was very, very sad to see this. I think, honestly, this made me really, really sad. And then if we go back here, Bach, Angio, and Jorge Oquendo's game really blew me by surprise. It was just so complicated. Both of them have less than a minute on the clock. They were just playing back and forth, and we kept seeing all this stuff here, and that brings us essentially to this the next day, the following day. We were playing against this team called the Fantastic Four. Huge shout out to the newly elected National Master, Aaron Marion. Aaron Marion was playing, on the Fantastic Four. That was literally the team name. He was the captain, I believe, or not the captain, but he was their board one. And he recently crossed 2200 in the event, so huge congratulations to him. I actually congratulate him in the event. I have nothing but praise for him. He should have been a long time ago. I think that he is pretty well deserving of the title. But we played basically their team, and here's what happened in that scenario. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who don't know, Alexander Jasinski, with that draw, essentially cost us the match, and Brajesh would go on to draw his game against Vincent Stone, but that ultimately meant that the match would be a tie, I believe 2-2. And again, the following day, we're playing the Fantastic Four. Against the Fantastic Four, I believe I drew my game. I drew my game against Nair, who was also a national master on board 2. Then board 3 lost. Board 4, I believe Quinton lost, which was very unfortunate. But then Brajesh won. So we were able to win by like a 2.5, 1.5 margin, which is really good. And here's the exciting part. We were able to play against none other than the strongest team in the event, by far, arguably, Raga Venkat's team. And Raga Venkat's team was called Three Men and a Baby, which is just insane. If you notice what I said earlier, there was a team called Three Baby and a Man. which was led on another by, I believe, Yassim Omar, who's a really strong aspiring player trying to become national master, one of my friends. And, he was having his own team trying to copy the nickname of this team. And this team was really strong. They had another than Sharvesh, Devi, Devi Prasad. I really don't know how to pronounce his last name, sorry. But this guy is an FM, basically IM level strength, honestly. His speed rating is like over 2400. I believe he's just missing a norm, but once he has the norm, he's completely an IM. So this guy is like, as you guys can see by the score sheet, 2500. And it's just really, really difficult. I think that this team was by far the most strong team that there was. Nothing comes in comparison. And I really have a lot to say about this game because this game meant a lot. This game was like a complete crusher. Not much I could say other than the fact that I needed to win this game. I was playing against Venkat himself. Board one with Sharvesh, and Sharvesh actually made a quick draw with Brajesh. So I've put the score already at half. There's 3 boards left. Quinton will go on to win his game, which put the score at 1.5 to half in our favor. However, this was the toughest goal, which is basically to hold down the final boss, Raghav, and for Jasinski to hold down another huge boss in his own. He needed to hold against Marvin Gao, which was not easy at all. So board 3 against Marvin, and Jasinski had black, which made it even worse. The good news about me is that I have white, so at least I had some chances to try to hold this if I played really precisely and played a decent opening. So what will happen? Let's see. I played the move d4. We get knight f6, c4, g6, g3, bishop g7, bishop g2. And before the game, I actually had someone who actually helped me prep. It was outside the playing hall. He gave me some advice because he knew that Venkit would enter this line, and he actually unexpectedly did enter the line. We get castle, knight f3, d6, h3, knight c6. But after I played knight c3, here Venkit deviated. Sorry, here he deviated and played the move d5. Now, by instinct alone, I knew the best move, or the better move, than the one I played was probably c takes d5 after knight takes go e4. I thought that this was like the best thing I could do. I was expecting e5, and I thought this position was really unique, bishop e3. I thought Venkit would have played like rook e8, and I thought this position was very complicated after d5. I thought he was going to go knight e5, b6, bishop a6, and I thought Venkit would win this long term. Because he has so many long-term ideas like f5, I did not like it at all. Even though the engine thinks it's relatively around equal, or maybe a side advantage for white. And for that reason alone, instead of c takes d5, I do a move which, at first glance, I thought was a really good move. I thought this move made a lot of sense. I played the move knight e5. I was burning so much time. I think I burned like around 20 minutes before playing this move. I played the move knight e5. And again, to put into retrospect, before, calculating this move, again, Sharvesh and Brajesh drew. The reason behind knight e5 is that Raghav cannot take here. Because I would take on e5. If we play a move like knight e8, I was going to play a move like e6. And if pawn takes, I was going to take here. And I thought this was really good for white. And according to the engine, it's alright. That was my idea. But Raghav instantly, he doesn't really think. He just blitzes out. He just plays d takes c4 without much trouble. I took on c6. We get b takes, bishop takes, rook g8. And I go back to g2. After knight e8, here things start to go wrong. I instinctively knew that d5 must be the move. Because again, I want to play like e4, I can castle, etc. Yada yada. Position should be relatively fine. I go for the worst and play the move e3, underestimating how horrendously torturous this position will be when you play the move e5. I misevaluated this completely. I thought, okay, this move, it's not that bad, but actually I didn't really think much of this move, and I completely overlooked the fact that my position is completely cramped. This bishop will simply become really a very powerful piece once the position opens up. This b2 pawn will become a permanent weakness. I need to get this bishop doubled up somehow, get my king to safety, and this will take a lot of moves. I took on e5, we get the queen trade, bishop takes, and bishop d2. And this took a lot of time. Again, I burned like 40 minutes just calculating all this. Point being, or like 30 minutes, point being that he cannot take on b2 because I go rook b1. If we get c3, then edge pair like knight takes, I was going to do bishop takes, and result into this endgame in which I thought I can never lose. I just go knight c3 and simply castle, and I should be fine. That's why initially what I thought. Venke again doesn't even think. He doesn't think out. He just blitzed out the move knight d6. I instantly castled. Again, another blitz move, bishop f5. Simply, again, my position is just cramped. Now he's actually preparing to take on b2. b2 is actually hanging. He's also putting the bishop on d3, cramping my rook, making sure I have basically no square, paralyzing all my pieces on the back rank. I'm basically playing anti-chess, and it's very, very depressing. I go rook e1, taking into account that this will not come into tempo. Bishop d3 is playing anyway. I go bishop f1, and Venke again, after a little bit of think, he decides to go knight e4, not taking the pawn on b2, which is one of the strongest moves in the position. And here, after I take on d3, we get c takes d3, bishop c3. I was actually going to resign. Like, I'll be honest, at this point, I was not happy. It did not look too good for us. I looked over to my right. I'm like, okay, Marvin's just going to win somehow. I'm completely getting crushed. I'm probably going to lose, so I'm probably going to resign. Initially, I was just thinking Venke was just going to take. Because I thought after b... Well, not with the knight. I initially thought he was going to take with the bishop. Because after b takes, I thought, okay, d2, rook e2. Venke just goes with a move like rook d8. And I'm just not winning this. I'm completely lost here. I'm going to resign this really shortly. He has so many ideas like rook b6, rook c6, rook a6. These pawns are all weak, all isolated. Even if I try to kick away this knight, it's just no use. Again, this pawn's on g3 is really weak. And I had to waste a lot of time, and I think Venke's position just... He has so many moves. He has so many ideas. I have basically no free moves. I would have resigned had he played, again, just bishop takes c3. After a couple of moves, I probably would have resigned. Because my position is completely worthless. He instead played the move knight takes c3. I played b takes. After the move c5, I start thinking, and I start realizing something is wrong here. Like, I'm completely lost. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm completely lost. But he's kind of sleeping a little bit, and he's kind of becoming too carefree. I go f4 and e4. Idea being that I want to put my pawn on e5, simply lock out this really powerful bishop to then try go knight e3. We get c4, e5, rook c8, and I go rook e4. And here he goes bishop f8. Here I cannot go knight e3. Had I gone for the move knight e3, I would have lost this game easily, because now he has the move bishop c5. This move is simply strong, because after I move the king, he can simply chop on e3 and go rook b2 check. And with the pass pawn, with the open file, with everything simply going under fire, I'm going to lose this game. That's why instead I simply take my king out of dodge. Now I can go knight e3, and so Venke decides to go bishop to a3. Point being, he wants to go bishop b2, simply win this pawn that's really, really weak, and then push his score his pass pawns to b3, maybe take on a2, etc., etc. I go knight e3, rook b2 check, king f3. At this point, again, I have like 24 minutes or 21 minutes on the clock. He still has over 40 minutes. He goes rook d2, I go rook b1, and bishop c5. Again, this position, all the way over here, guys, all the way over here, was literally almost -2. But Venke got too carefree that all the way up to here, guys, all the way up to here, after bishop f8, I'm back into the game. And after this point, I'm actually the one who can be able to press on. I played the move knight e1. A better move which I could have had in the game was the idea of knight g4. Idea being that if you were to take here, I have knight 6 check with tempo, king g7, and knight takes e4. I'm stopping the pawn from going to d2. Now I got the open file, so I can go rook b7, etc., etc., and I'm completely fine. All my pawns are actually nicely placed, and his king's kind of a little bit caged. But instead, I decided to go for the move knight d1, and this forces a concession. Venke, if he decides to take, only I can press in the game. And it should be relatively equal, but I have more things to actually do. Like, I have ideas to go against these liabilities when we're like rook b4, knight e3, etc., targeting, and I have really no risk. I'm in a risk-free position. Or he could take on a2. He's like taking on a2, I take on c4. We get rook c7. Terrible move again. This guy just doesn't think. He just blitz on move. I play rook b2, best move, or not best move, but rook b2 is a really solid move. Simply just holding my position. Point being that after he takes, I'd simply take on b2. If d2, I would have gone king e2, and he cannot go rook d7 and escort the pawn because the bishop would hang. If rook b7, I could play a move like knight d3, attacking the bishop, and then I just take. Or actually, no, he has bishop b3, but then bishop b3. Oh wait, no, what am I missing here? Oh no, sorry, just knight d1. Yeah, knight d1, and again, now after the bishop moves, I just take on d2, and this is just simply winning over +1. That's why instead he goes rook a1, and as you guys can tell by the result, earlier I offered Venka a draw, he declined it, he said he will think about it. And here he offers me a draw. So I'm thinking there, right, if I'm contemplating for like 7 minutes, I want to say, and on my clock I have like less than 15 minutes. He still has over 40 plus minutes, like 47 minutes, etc., etc. I kept looking to my right, to my left. There were like a lot of people. They were just laughing, looking at me. They were completely laughing. As I was like stressing out. And I remember Sharvesh. I believe he was just laughing. Like honestly, like they were like making fun of me. I don't know why. They're just completely laughing. I remember hearing a lot of people just looking at me and laughing, and it was honestly upsetting. But I kept looking very stressed to my teammate because I'm looking at Jasinski, and the position that he had against Marvin Gao did not look pleasant at all. I'm like, okay, this guy's gonna lose. It does not look very fun. And Raghav actually was like kind of laughing. He was just simply offering me a draw, but he was like smirking, etc. Like he's just making fun of me. And you know, in this position, after like again, after contemplating for like 7 minutes, less than 15, still over 40, with a frustrated look on my face, I say, yeah, draw. And I shake his hand, you know, I go to the score sheet, and that's where this picture comes in, which I showed you guys earlier, where you guys can actually see the results right there. As you guys can see, Marvin Gal and Alexander Ziski is the only game standing. Quinton, Brijesh already drew, Quinton won, I drew. It was up to Jasinski and me to simply hold these two guys, because if we were to hold these two guys, we would have won the match by half a point. It's very, very sad. But it's just such a tough goal. It's like you're really pulling the odds, and it's very, very difficult to do that. Now, in my position, this is winning. Like this +1. If I go like rook d2, bishop b6, I just trade and go rook takes d3. Like this should be winning. It's like +1. But maybe Becca wasn't done. We were arguing about not arguing. We were analyzing bishop b6. If he comes from like a5, like I don't know, just like knight b2. I play this position out. Sorry, not like this. Sorry, a5. I don't know, like knight e3, not knight e3. Like knight f2. I take on e3, go knight e4, etc. a4. We were talking about this position for a while. I'm like, okay, this has to be winning. This is probably good for me. And objectively, it's fine for me. Like I'm not completely lost. I'm not going crazy over it. I think that against anyone else, I probably would have played on and not accepted the draw here like a total idiot, and that's probably why they were laughing at me. But like, it's just like it's so upsetting because this just tells you like I have like a very psychological issue when it comes to my chess. Like I'm not confident at all against higher rateds, and I knew this game mattered a lot. I was thinking in my head again for 7 minutes straight. Quinn told me, no, we gotta win. We gotta win for the team to qualify to win anything, to win plaques, to win awards, etc. To even tie for first. My win mattered a lot. Had I been able to press on and probably secure the win, I would have guaranteed my team at least a tie for first. And it's just so frustrating knowing that because of me, Jasinski was just suffering for the remainder of the game. Like I knew that he was not gonna hold, and knowing that despite that, he was gonna suffer the whole game, I just decided to take it because in the worst case scenario, we simply save the match. We draw the match, we don't lose the match, and I want to say, you know what? Okay, I suck. I guess I completely suck at chess than Raghav, but at least we didn't lose against his team, and I'm just simply glad that we didn't lose a single match. That was my reasoning. I thought, okay, if I take the drop, our team doesn't lose the match, despite how it's losing. And it just sucks because again, I feel like there's a position that if it were blitz or if it were against anyone lower, I would have definitely been eager to play this on. But because it's Raghav and because I'm not confident in myself, I thought I would simply mess this up somehow, and not convert it. That we were going to lose. And I didn't want us to be on a 2 point deficit. I think that would have been very, very saddening to see. I didn't want to see us lose the match. Um, it's tough, man. Like it's really, really tough. Again, looking at the results, I went in and I took a picture of this. It's just brutal knowing that you have this really, really tough team, and what can you say? Like Marvin on board 3 is just a complete monster, and the fact again that Jasinski had black was very, very saddening. Not much to do when you're put against the odds. So yeah. We might have won the fashion award, but no update has been stated yet, unfortunately. Um, and it's really, really unfortunate. Again, had been able to push and won, we would have at least gotten a tie for first, and we would have gotten something. But because of me, Jasinski was suffering for the rest of the game, and that really just frustrated me. I remember I walked back into the room. I looked at the position right before I went with Quinton. They were drawing me back, and I looked at the position. I just shook my head. I'm like, it's because of me, man. Like, I'm sorry. I got. It's because of me. Like, if it wasn't for me, and you know, I had been able to press on and probably win the game, Jasinski wouldn't have to be suffering, and we would actually have probably won something. So that's forever gonna be in my mind, and I'm probably gonna regret this game. So going to the future, if I ever do like improve like my confidence, my openings, etc., um, I'm just gonna look back in this game and say I was a complete idiot. I should have just kept playing on against Venkat, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm just simply happy that my team didn't lose the match, and it was just a risk-free scenario. The original strategy was this again, just me and Jasinski hold against those toughest final bosses that they have on their team, um, and just simply hope that Quinton's win by default is going to be enough to win the match simply by half a point. However, reality spoke differently, and as usual, Marvin won. And I knew that. I simply just knew it was gonna happen ahead of time. Like I knew Jasinski was just gonna suffer, and that's why I took it. Which it's very saddening. I remember I told Quinn, like Quinn, I really do hope that I'm wrong. I really want to be wrong. I don't want Marvin to win, but um, that's just the way it goes. So yeah. Other than that, I want to say I really don't have any regrets. I think the trip was very fun. I got to meet a lot of people, simply have fun. I remember we chilled a lot. Me, Jacori, Quentin, Quan, etc. We were all chilling with the brothers, the Gospodino brothers, actually eating in the bar together, and it was really cool. Simply being able to chill out, hang out with the team, etc. I really only have that regret about the draw, but other than that, I think I played really well. In the end, I did lose 2 points, but it doesn't matter. Two points in the end of the world. Jasinski, I think, ended up losing like 7 points. Brajesh actually is now his peak rating or tie for his peak rating. He's at 2392, so he could eventually break 2400, which would be really, really cool. Quinta did lose some rating. I believe he's like 1830s. And overall, the team massively lost some rating, but Burgess still gained some rating. And I think that we did our best with the best that we could, with our best ability. So, again, no regrets other than that draw. I think I'm completely fulfilled with the event. Hopefully next year we can do better. Next year, if the ratings stay the same, I probably will be playing on this team again. And I do hope that we can win the plaque next year and potentially win the championship. So it will be really cool. But we'll never know what happens in the future. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my recap. Sorry if it's super long, but again, this game just made such an impact. And again, I really apologize to my teammates for letting you guys down. I tried my best, and yeah, I'm sorry. But I love you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Comment on your thoughts down below, and see ya. Ciao.